think we're almost live. Let's see. But I have to do this, Aaron. Hold on. I have to go live. I have to hit this. Yes. There we go. Okay, let me just turn that down. Hello, everybody. Tom Caldabiano here with Aaron. Sure, yes. So, Aaron, if I walk this way, hold on. First of all, okay, yeah. I seem to have problems with my hair. Okay, there we go, everybody. Aaron Shure, Tom Caldabiano here live. Let me just make sure on Instagram. ELR360 Live. I'm here with Aaron Shure, writer of Everose Raymond. Aaron wrote a ton of episodes. I wanted to talk about favors, but nothing's off the table, Aaron.
Right.
Okay, so we can talk about anything we want. Okay, and we should get notifications soon. What happens is the comments go here live as they pop in. Okay, so Aaron, we're coming up on the Christmas season, so I realize that we should talk a little bit about, and I thought, what is the angle? Because you didn't write any Christmas episodes, right?
No, I didn't.
But let me ask you this. Okay, let me just make sure I'm live on Instagram. Hold on. Let's see. Let me look at this. Let me see. A little hot on the mic. Okay, let me just turn that down a little bit. Aaron, hopefully Aaron sounds good. A little bit more, a little bit less. Here we go. Okay. It's funny because why am I not seeing comments yet? Let's see the comments. Comments. Okay. I think we're live everywhere. Okay. Yes. Showing Facebook. Oh, I'm getting excellent messages. Live on Instagram. Okay. Great. Hope that sounds better. So, Aaron, sorry, you did not write a Christmas episode, but now this I didn't. I'm not springing something on you, but you once talked about writing eulogies.
Yes.
Figured out how to write eulogies, and for some reason, I thought that morphed into the Christmas season's greetings one, but it's not the case. It morphed into its own episode.
Yes. Frank's eulogy, I think it's called. I can't remember exactly what it's called. The eulogy.
By the way, yes, for everybody joining, this is Tom Caldabiano. I was a writer on Everose Raymond. I was there from the beginning to end. Aaron was sought after and joined the show in season 3. Phil Rosenthal pursued Aaron and got Aaron, and then Aaron became. I'm not saying you were like a teacher's pet or but you joined in season 3,
yes.
So you were a fan until then.
Absolutely.
Yes. Go ahead.
And yes, so I had to catch up and watch all the shows that I hadn't seen yet, and it was very intimidating to walk into that writer's room.
Yes. So I think,
by the way, like, hey guys, let me fix it for you.
Hello from man. So this is new, Aaron. Since you, so let's. I'm going to frame this a little bit more. This is Tom Caldabiano. I started stand-up comedy in New York. That's where I met Ray Romano. But I also met a guy who I saw one time and then never saw him again. And that guy was Aaron Shure, which I think there are so many people more watching now than, and I don't know if you know this, you, Aaron, were the first ever guest that I had.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, on this show?
On this show, yes,
wow.
Because, well, we wrote Young Girl together. I knew you actually the second longest. I only knew Ray Romano longer than you.
Wow.
But everybody in the writer's room I didn't know right beforehand, and you were the only one. I did some stand-up with Steve Scrovan. But the point is, when you first joined, we might have had 1,000 followers, and now we have 30,000 followers.
Wow.
So even though
so we might retell some of the stories. Is that what you're saying?
That's the point.
Yes.
So even though you might be like, Tom, I know they've been reading my biography and some of my writings and asking for my etchings and stuff, but they don't know. And I think, it's very interesting because I was watching an interview with Jeremy Stevens talking about writing on the Electric Company. And I had no clue how they wrote on the Electric Company. Okay, Electric Company is a kids' educational show that Jeremy Stevens, one of our writers, started. So for us sitting here, one of the things when you're writing an episode together, you got to like the person. You got to see eye to eye on stand-up, on comedic vibe.
Right.
Right? And so I know that just because you were such a strong writer, and when Phil pursued you, you were on a show called George and Leo.
Right.
And then you joined, and I had a story that I was pitching that became the Young Girl story. And I was like, Aaron, I went to you first. I go, do you want to write this episode with me? Because it was so emotionally charged because I got in trouble for the young girl episode. So now I'm going to tell, I think, the beginning story. But here's the beauty of this. Since you first joined, Aaron, which was right around COVID, I can now bring up comments from everybody. There's Kim. Now, how would you pronounce her last name? I know how, and I mispronounced it terribly.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Brazier.
Okay, so I said Brazier, and she said, it's not Brazier, it's Brazier.
Oh, Brazier. Okay.
Yeah.
I made it all weird in French.
Yes.
I wasn't even a Brazier. I was just a
Yes.
Brazier.
Yes. So, okay, so here, we can look at this. Great. Hello, everybody. So we can add, and there, do you remember Annabelle? Annabelle, you probably don't, maybe. She was our super fan. She
Yes.
came to the show, and she came to a bunch of shows, and she's the only one I have during the show who actually held the canister.
Wow.
She had, yes, the canister. Which when you're back on again, Aaron, we'll break out the canister. Okay, so let me just check a few of these. This is called the poor man's readers when you lift up your glasses, Aaron, to see. Watching you from the treadmill at the gym. Okay.
Nice.
Wow. So Karen is a fan from Texas, and Phil and I were in San Antonio, Texas. Phil was doing one of his many book tours, which Phil's now announced another European tour. And this woman who just is now exercising came up to me and Phil. She said, Phil, Tom. And I thought, okay, nobody would recognize me, but she is a very good fan.
I feel like I'm doing Peloton with Karen now. Okay, you can do it. Come on, push, Karen, push.
Yes, yes. For those that don't know, Peloton is a machine. Some people don't know it,
okay.
Right? And you get to pick your Peloton
instructor?
Yeah, well, don't you pick your instructor and what you're seeing and stuff?
Sessions or
and I don't even know. Is it a pedaling thing or is
yes,
it?
it's like a stationary bicycle.
Okay. So here we go. So what I want to do, because it is the Christmas time, I wanted to talk about favors, but I'm going to go back and just tell the backstory of Aaron Shure real quickly as it relates to me, and hopefully it's somewhat funny. Okay, so I started doing stand-up comedy at the Improv in New York, which was still prestigious at the time. I'm not saying that, I was at the Improv, but it was still an operating club. It must have been 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, somewhere in there. And a guy went up, and on open mic night, you're just trying to survive. And so you're not that you bond, but there's people who are in the same thing, which is like, hey, I'm going to go up in front of 100 strangers. I've only done stand-up twice, and I'm going to try and get a laugh. So
This was the day. It was a lottery for me. You have to go in and you pick a numbers, literally a lottery. Do I get to go on tonight? And then if you're lucky, you get to go on, and you have 3 minutes at 2 a.m.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So my first time, I remember there was a big national news story about killing somebody overseas, and it was 4 people in the audience, and one of them was my girlfriend at the time. Yeah, and and the first time you go up, there's a bright light. You know what I mean? It's really a learning curve. So at that club where you would do a lottery, which Ray Romano did as well. Ray Romano did a lottery, and he put in a fake name. So for his first few times, we'll have to ask him next time he's here, he had an alias. And so he had to perform under that alias because he got to go up. Because what you do is if you put your name in, if you cheat and put your name in a bunch of different times, and they don't know who you are. So Ray Romano was completely anonymous, and let me see, I might be able to text him and find out
what his
alias
lottery alias was.
Alias is. Here, let me see. Here you go. This is the beauty of going live. Yo, ... What was the fake name that you used the first few times that you did stand up? ?
Look at that. He can just text Ray Romano like that. It must be nice knowing people.
He needs me to help him with something.
Yeah.
So he called me this morning. So that's what I knew today. What is it? Joe? It was some name. Anyway, Aaron Shure, like Ray Romano, is at the Improv. And Aaron Shure draws a lottery number, and I'm there. I don't know who he is. He's just another guy in the 20 comedians that go up. And a lot of times, for me, I would drive 1 hour to get to the Improv, to put my name in a thing. And if I didn't get on to do 5 minutes, I would drive back home an hour and go back to my day job the next day. So we're there, people, comedians, and this guy goes up and he kills. He gets a huge laugh. It's unbelievable. He kills. He does an impression.
Describe the hair I had. I had a nimbus of hair at the time.
I don't think you can use nimbus, Aaron, without risking. Okay, so Aaron had a wavy mane of hair like a lion. He looked like the Cowardly Lion on The Wizard of Oz. An amazing head of hair. Everybody was filled with a jealous rage when they're like, man, he just got huge laughs, and look at that head of hair. Did I mention it was a long time ago?
It was a long time ago.
So,
90, it would have been 90 or 91.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, so Raymond's name, you ready for it? You'll never guess it. Because he...
Not Ramo Jones?
No. That's, the name of his dog was Nemo. His name was, okay, so his real name is Ray Romano. He looks slightly Italian, right? His fake name, Jackie Roberts. Ray Romano's first time on stage, it might have been his second or something, was Jackie Roberts, yeah. Okay, so Aaron Shure goes up. He kills. He does an impression of a teapot. He stands on the. It's funny that I can remember this from '91 so vividly. Stands on the stool, and he does an impression of a teapot, right? And the audience goes crazy because the audience also has been seeing a lot of lame stuff. They've seen a lot of lame, people starting out. It's kind of like with stand-up, you can only get good by doing stand-up. And so with guitar, you get good by practicing a lot at home alone. With stand-up, you can't do it. You have to get the timing right with an audience. So you are terrible. The audience is getting punished by people who are just learning the ropes. So Aaron kills. I go up to him. I go, oh my gosh, you were hysterical. I go, do you want work? Because I know a gig in New Jersey that I can get you in because you're so funny. You're the funniest guy tonight at the original Improv in New York. And it's a very, very rare thing for that to happen. So Aaron says, yeah, sure, I'll take it. Nice to meet you.
I think my career is starting at this point. I think this is it. I had a good set
Yes.
at 2 a.m.
Yes.
I did my teapot, and this guy already offering me a job. I'm on launch pad, man.
Yes.
To the stars.
I'm unstoppable. So, hold on, I'm going to take a sip. I don't have my AIS mug, which for those of you that know Aaron is responsible for the AIS episode.
That was my good buddy's dad who did that. He said ass in seat was the departure time. And if your ass wasn't in the seat, they would leave you behind. And so, yeah, I didn't really even make that up. I just remembered it.
No, but you know what you don't remember is you did. So his father said something, but not ass in seat.
Oh.
And then you made it ass in seat.
Okay.
So it was comparable. So D. Bradley said, no, that's not what he said, Aaron. And you said, oh, whoops. And then, so you can take credit for that,
Okay,
Aaron.
I'll
Don't
take
be
that.
humble. Don't be humble, yeah. Okay, so Aaron, I pick Aaron up at the Improv in New York, and we drive 50 miles outside of Manhattan. We go into this club called the Upper Deck in Lake Apacon, New Jersey, and I go up, and it's a rough Jersey crowd. I think I was either emceeing or middling, and I think you were just doing a spot then, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I go up, and I do really well. And Aaron goes up, and unlike the New York sophisticated crowd, which is like, oh, can I hear your comedy stylings? I'd like to see how creative you are. The Jersey crowd is a little bit more in your face. And so Aaron is trying to do what he did at the Improv, which is kill. And I don't even know, I was kind of watching maybe. I might have been talking to a girl, I think.
You were talking to a girl, and I bombed. I ate it. They hated me. They hated everything about my performance. The teapot just was silly to them. They didn't care about my hair. And my jokes were too weird and intellectual, and they did not like me even a little bit.
So I don't remember that exactly. I remember him not doing as well as the Improv, but I don't remember sitting in the club going, oh my God, why did I invite this guy? He's terrible. He's an embarrassment. That's not what happened, because also when you've done enough stand-up, you know sometimes you click and sometimes you don't. You know, if you never click, then maybe reconsider. But there's been, and I remember a friend of mine heard a guy announced who he saw bomb, and he was at another club, and this guy goes up who he had seen bomb, and he goes, this guy's terrible. And the guy destroyed. He killed, you know, because it was a different crowd. So, you know, slipped. Okay, so 1991. All right, I never see the guy again, but he has incredible hair. He's going to do all right. So then, cut to 1998. I'm sitting in the Raymond offices, and I walk in, and I go, geez, that guy looks really familiar to me. Why is he familiar to me? I will put it together. I know him from somewhere. Oh yeah, he reminds me of the guy that did the improv, but with less hair. He's got less hair now. But I'm like, I'm 99% sure that's the guy. So, of course, unknown to me, Aaron, you tell your side of the story.
I walk in the room, I see Tom, I think, oh my God, Tom's going to remember how bad I was, and I'll be fired any minute short. Because I was very intimidated in that room, and to have seen me bombed, I thought you would go to Phil and be like, Phil, that guy's so bad. You can't have him in the room. He should have been left at the upper deck in Jersey, and we should have never seen him again. Yeah.
By the way, so then I don't remember it that way. I only have fond memories of so I go, I'm going to surprise Aaron. So Aaron gets hired. We're in the writer's room. And before I get, it might have been the Hollywood Hills Coverage, before I get a chance to say something, Aaron preemptively goes, I think I remember you from doing stand-up comedy together. And so he kind of blew the surprise. I had no idea that he was horrified that I was going to out him to Phil Rosenthal and say, Phil, not funny, not good, everything bad. Please reconsider. Because, by the way, you never know. I could be a petty, spiteful guy.
Yep.
But I felt bad. You didn't have as much hair as you did, right? So you couldn't use that superpower.
Well, you were talking about how you go up and it's like learning a skill, but it's a skill you have to learn in front of other people, so it's painful. And it's a process of figuring out who you are on stage. And that night at the upper deck, when they hated me, was one of the first data points in a long lesson. It took me a long time to learn the lesson, which is I don't belong on the stage. The audience was very clear, like, your jokes are okay, but really you should be behind the scenes. So luckily writing was the right place for me.
Do you think that's because if you did pursue it, because here's what I say, by the way, let me check on some comments because we were really going on, but I want to talk about that. Let me see. My son is incredibly talented. I tried my hardest to get him to do open mic nights, but he refused because he feared rejection too much. Wish I could show him this. Yeah. You can, Karen. It will go. But here's what I will say. It took Ray a long time to go on stage, and then he quit for like 2 years. You know what I mean? Like but you have to really love. Look at all these encouraging things. We need to see the teapot joke.
I don't have. There's a bit of a gimmick to it. I'm not prepared to do it. Sorry to say.
Sorry, Karen. That's Karen.
My best bit is a gimmick.
Yes.
But my favorite quote. One of my favorite quotes is from the jazz musician Miles Davis, and he says, "Sometimes you have to play a long time before you can play like yourself." Yeah. It's definitely true when you're doing stand-up. You got to find who you are on stage.
Yeah.
So tell him to go out there and fail until he figures it out. It could be, 3 years to 10 years, 3 to 10 years of stand-up before you kind of figure out who you are.
Yeah. So that's, and I think for anybody considering doing stand-up, which very few people do in the world, even though there's more stand-ups than ever in the world, like when we started doing, there was no, what are you doing? I was thinking about going into... stand-up comedy. Really? What is that? I know what it is, but is there even a way to make a living? Whereas now it's like, what are you doing? Well, I was going to go into stand-up comedy. Is a very sound career. You don't do accounting. Don't do any of these. Do stand-up. Here's the route. It was totally, there was no established, like, here's how you do it. So...
there were no schools. That became a cottage industry of learning. And you can take a class now.
Yeah, and you can learn. Yes, you can learn. Maybe if you had taken a class, Aaron, you wouldn't have suffered. But okay, so let me. Now I'm trying to catch up. Let me go to Instagram. Oh, I can look. I might be able to look on Instagram. Hold on. Apologize. Oh, look at that, everybody. Here we go. Tom Caldabiano talking to Aaron Shure. Aaron Shure, who wrote on Everett Raymond. Over 20 episodes he wrote on Everett Raymond. He wrote on The Office, Hot in Cleveland.
People of Earth, Lucky Louie.
Yeah, yes, yes. So a lot of these. Wow, let me just see if I'm missing any comments here. Just a lot of people joining. Yeah, send me your comments because I see this is all Facebook comments. So the teapot, I will tell you, the teapot joke, just so you know, you would stand on a kettle and you would do this thing where you whistled and it was just hysterical.
Yep.
Right?
But there's a whistle I hid in my mouth, but you didn't know it was there.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, Aaron, just so I don't want to pigeonhole Aaron, but he also went on David Letterman for Stupid Human Tricks.
Yep.
And set a mousetrap off on his tongue.
So in addition to doing stand-up, I was also a circus performer and a variety act. So I did a lot of weird physical bits, and my tongue is still bruised.
That was during Everett's Raymond, by the way. Aaron had to go to Phil Rosenthal and say, "Hey, Phil, do you mind if I take a day off or 2 days off? Because I'm going to go be on Letterman on Stupid Human Tricks." And Phil nicely said, "Yeah, go. Good luck. And how was it? Well,
Letterman produced our show, so it helped me get the gig. And so I liked that when I was on Letterman, national TV, with a mousetrap hanging from my tongue, there were other people across the country with mousetraps going, "Hey, how did he get the job?"
All right, now, Aaron, excellent. So then Aaron joined the writing staff and was instantly accepted and instantly unbelievably good, and Phil loved him. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Favors episode, which I don't know the last time we watched, and I know we've talked about it a little bit, Aaron, or maybe we've explored it, but the Favors episode, which I watched today, was so, and this is what kills me for the audience. When I watch Favors, I go, oh my God, the amount of jokes and the amount of character jokes. When just Deborah says, there were a couple lines, Deborah says, "I was cleaning," to Marie. "Well, why did you throw it out?" "Well, I was cleaning." "No, really." So "no, really" from Marie is a funny joke because of the history of the series. And it's like, and it just, all these funny jokes of funny, memorable lines from that episode. And by the time we got to season 9, it was like, oh my gosh, it's like your favorite band that every album they put out, you're like, oh, it's just, just a well-oiled machine where you don't want to see these characters go away.
Do you recap what happened in the episode, or are the fans like, we know what happened?
Yeah, these people know
Yes.
I mean, you can trigger it because we know it by title and they know it by, but it's the Muhammad Ali letter episode where Deborah throws out that episode. So just because we won't recap the whole episode, I think I'm going to do, I'll see some feedback from the fans. I'll do a hardcore deep dive where we go into every scene, not today, but for every episode,
Yes.
And just, because we were talking about the ladies of The Office, right? And do they
Office
do
ladies,
the
yeah.
Office ladies? Yes,
They do a deep dive. They talk to the prop master, and they get stories from everybody who was on the set. They really go in deep, and they walk through the episode and talk about point by point what happens.
Okay, so that's and for me, I'm just spontaneously remembering all the memories. And the thing about Office Ladies, that when I watched one of their things, which is great, I love the idea that there's this resource because for people, they're like, well, we made the show and that's it.
Yep.
And now the fact that you and I are talking about a show and can give insights, I love that aspect. But as you know, and I say this knowing that we're writers, so when I say this, it sounds like, well, of course, because you're writers. We know how the show started, the episode, the genesis, the twists and turns, why we came up with it. The actor only knows, I got a script, and then I acted it, And I say this all the time. You'd much rather meet Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman than the writers of Casablanca, right? If you're like, you want to have drinks with Humphrey Bogart or the Epstein brothers?
Right.
Well, I'll so I'm well aware that there's a draw there. And hearing Patty and Ray and Brad whenever they come on, of course, we want to hear that as well. But to go deep into the episodes, I often think that. I'm like, oh, they don't even know, because even for you, when you weren't there from season 1 to 3, you don't know, it's 1 and 2, you don't know how the show came about.
It's terrifying when you walk into a writer's room and you want to pitch an idea. You don't know if this has been pitched 3 times and shot down 2, and then the third time the person got fired. And you're going to be the 4th pitch of that idea. Yeah, so that's you never know, and a big part of the writers' room is learning the taste of the room. What does the room like, and what does the room think is funny, and what's out of bounds in terms of the silly jokes that you do just for us, you know. So it's a learning process.
Yeah, and by the way, Aaron, can you cheat a little bit my way?
Sure.
Because I'm running out of backdrop. There we go, a little bit of frame. All right, let's catch up on questions here because I want to get into the favors thing. The best line in that episode was from Amy's, a mafia family. Yes, so that Karen, who's Italian, she is Italian. It's an interesting thing because I was in Sicily and I was meeting with Ray's in Bisaquino, Ray's wife's relatives in Bisaquino, and we were talking about Ebers Raymond. Now, almost everyone but myself and my other friend who's been on here, Bobby, my pastry chef friend, they were all Italians. And there was an American couple visiting who was related too, and she said, I stopped watching Everybody Loves Raymond because there were mafia references, and I didn't appreciate that. And I was like, okay, because they're an easy reference to make. The Godfather is a fairly popular movie. You know, we didn't make that many references. A lot of people just recently were asking about He Go Away, the Marco line about Nemo, right? And it was just, let's leave it out there. Let's do that, you know, but she was really offended. So, Karen, the fact that you like that line, it's a line from Amy where she kind of whispers, you know, like a mafia family, because that, when you wrote the episode, I don't know if that's what you were thinking.
Yes, that was a very pivotal moment. Now, I was just researching this episode before coming over here, and apparently that's the third actual reference, literal reference to the word mafia in the series.
Oh, wow.
210 episodes, we only said the actual word 3 times, and that was one of them.
Wow.
We made jokes, like oblique jokes prior, other than that, but that's the only. So it was very important that we were drawing the analogy at the end that in a family, there's a lot of favors that are done. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of things at risk, and there's a little bit mobstery sort of stakes sometimes. And we had to get Doris Roberts, who is the most lovely person ever, and we had to convince her she needs to be steely and scary, and get that sort of mafia Don sort of vibe, and she pulled it off great.
Yeah, by the way, it's a funny when you watch the episode, everybody. We're talking to Aaron Shure, who wrote many episodes of Raymond, too many to recount right now. But favors is what we're talking about. And there's a pivotal scene where Marie goes down and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, it's spine chilling. She's like, I didn't go to you for favors. You came to me because you knew I could deliver. And so it's the very parallel of the mob. We're like, you asked to borrow the money, did you not? I didn't go to you and say borrow money. And so you're like, oh my goodness. And then when she says, one of my favorite scenes where she goes, I feel like I should just air all the secrets. And you just hear this fantastic mumbling of everybody, Robert going, oh, that's silly, like whatever he said, like, because they know she has the goods on them for everything. The question is, if you're a good person, you know someone's secret and you don't use it against them. You don't use it as leverage.
Now, there's a great sort of payoff to this whole episode where it's the episode where Deborah throws out the Muhammad Ali letter, a letter written to Ray by Muhammad Ali. And then Ray got, is it in the mail? How did he get it? He got an actual letter from Muhammad Ali, who watched the episode.
In real life,
Yeah.
Ray Romano received a letter from Muhammad Ali.
After watching this episode.
So Muhammad Ali watched this episode and then sent Ray Romano a letter, which I think is framed in his office.
Yep.
So
And he quoted the line that we wrote, where even though none of it rhymed. Yeah.
Yes. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes, by the way, there you go. There's some trivia that I don't think anybody would know, that Ray Romano in real life received a letter from Muhammad Ali, and he kept it away from Patricia Heaton
Just in
in case she decided to throw it out. Okay. So, by the way, sorry, I'm going to brag about that episode. The execution of her throwing out the letter and being on the phone and absentmindedly going through it and then dumping it in the garbage. And then she puts coffee grinds on it. And the whole time you're watching, you're going, no. And then you hear the garbage, she's stomping on it. Then you run out and you hear the clink, you're like, oh, it is a fait accompli. It is a done deal. And you're just cringing. And at the same time, Patricia Heaton, when she's going, it was in that drawer. And you just, that feeling of a human being where you go, oh no, that diamond was in that cloth that was on the coffee table. Okay,
Well, it was also very impressive when when Marie takes the fall and says she threw it out, and at that moment Patricia had to play surprise and then pretending to agree with the lie. So many different things that you see her play all at once. And that's why I couldn't be an actor. I can't imagine how you would pull that off the way she did. It's so amazing.
Yeah. Well, Patty is phenomenal. Obviously everyone on the show is phenomenal, but the layers and even when they're acting badly, they're acting so well. When Peter Boyle, when Frank has to act, I for one, it's like you're acting like a bad actor. And so you're a good enough actor to act like a bad actor because we know how good you are as an actor. Right? It's a very, very impressive skill set there. All right, let's see some more comments. Ray acts out Muhammad Ali in the episode where he meets Deborah delivering.
Oh, different episode.
Oh yeah.
Delivering the futons.
Delivering futons. How they met. Right. I want to say. End of season 3.
We did flashbacks. The finale is always a flashback.
For all of those. Okay, let's see. Deborah's terror when lying to Marie. Yes, okay, sorry, Karen, I didn't even see these. These are great. Where are all your mugs, Tom? Are they all in the dishwasher? So, Karen, today we are in a different studio. This is a mug. Anyone that grew up in New York knows this, okay? This is a paper cup that before Starbucks existed, this was every Greek diner you would go to, including there was a diner next to the Improv. I don't know if you ever went there, Aaron, called the Westway Diner. I think it's still there. The original Improv was 44th Street and 8th Avenue. And so this mug, so I have an AIS with red that I was going to bring to Aaron, but all of my mugs are not here, is the short of it. So,
and we're in the new ELR 360 studios.
That's right.
You know what the show is? You all missed the show. I got to see the show. The show is Tom setting up in this studio. He's got cables. He's getting all the mics. There's so much equipment around here. And then he's dressed like a schmuck. And then suddenly, the last moment of the whole performance, he pulls a suit out of the I don't know out of where. Suddenly he's in a suit.
That's right.
It's quite a performance.
That's show business, Aaron. That is show business. Aaron actually just flew into Los Angeles, so we're lucky that he was willing to stop by for a few minutes. Okay, Aaron, super. I'm loving this, as I always do. Let me see. Ray acts it out. Yes. Good evening. Hello, Anne-Marie. Let me see this one. Okay. Some people are way too oversensitive. Relax and enjoy a good laugh. Okay. I don't know what that's coming off of. Oh, the mafia. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, there's stereotypes so the mafia exists, right? It is Aaron, don't worry, there's no hit.
If you say so, Tom. Tom Caltabiano.
Oh boy. Okay. But that brings me to a good thing. Let me just check. Let me see. Am I wearing pants today? Is that to you, Aaron, or to me? I don't know.
Because I mentioned the suit, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I got pants on. Here, I'm going to move this just a little bit over here, Aaron. So yes, there you go. There we go. We don't want to hide Aaron's beard. I'm envious of your beard, Aaron. I can't grow a beard.
Wow. Well, I'm envious of your hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Here we go. Oh, let me look on Instagram now, because now I want to talk, because we're talking about mafia. I want to talk about what you grew up. So you grew up in a not normal childhood, and I'm not so okay. I forgot I have it right here, Aaron. Let me just scroll through. Look at all this. All these people have joined. When the family was in Italy, mafia references were made. Again, never was offended. Oh, Teresa from Chicago, who owns an Italian restaurant. Her family owns an Italian restaurant there. Yes. So Teresa, I think you're right. People have to have a sense of humor about it. There's no. If people are going to be sensitive, I could make bald jokes to you, Aaron, but I don't think you could care less. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't mind at all.
Yeah.
No.
So I think it's whatever we. And I've heard people saying that when you strike a chord of the truth, that's when people start to, wait a minute, I think he's, sorry, if I said, Aaron, you could never write on a primetime TV show, it doesn't land because you've done it so much and you have Emmys for it. You know what I mean? But if it's like, Aaron, as a stand-up, I feel like you punish the people. Then you'd be like, what does he mean by that? I could have been much better. So, okay. Are you wearing pants today? Is up for a long time there. Okay, let's see this. My husband's cousin was a low-level mafia member killed by Lana Turner, and he thinks it's funny. Wow. Okay. Wow. Susan Woods, Stompanato. That is a well-known name if you follow Lana Turner. Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's good to hear. So somebody who knows somebody who's related to somebody who might have been a low-level mafia person chuckles when we say it.
I hear that the Mormons enjoy the Book of Mormon, the musical.
Is that true?
I heard someone when bunch of Mormons were going to watch the show and enjoying it.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry. Please tell us more about what episodes he wrote. So there's too many. I'll list some that come off the top of my head because this is. But Aaron and I wrote Young Girl together. Aaron's first episode was Ping Pong. Mm-hmm. Okay. You wrote a lot of sex stories, Phil. Phil, yeah. No Role, Power of No, right? You said Say Uncle, which was not.
And then 10th Anniversary, where Ray tapes over the wedding video.
So one of the reasons Aaron was hired, because in real life he taped over an Ever Brothers Raymond episode over his actual wedding video. Yeah. And Phil heard the story and said, we should do that story, we should hire this guy, and that became the 10th anniversary episode.
Well, the origin of this episode of Favors was my wife would throw stuff out, and I think it's a pretty common marital issue, but she would throw stuff out, and actually my realtor lent me some photos of Estonia, his home country, and it was letters from postcards from Estonia, and he was just showing them to me. I had them anyway. Those got thrown out. Oh. I had to call Estonia and get replacement cards for him. So yeah, it was the origin of this episode.
By the way, just in case Ray is watching, do you know the capital of Estonia?
Is it? Riga is Latvia. Estonia is Tallinn.
Yes, I think it's. But so Tallinn is in Estonia, and I was just making the assumption. Yeah. It's a beautiful place if you ever get a chance to go. Okay, so I'm going to reel off. I'm going to keep going. It's too many episodes, but is it Deborah Makes Something Good? Did you write that with Susan Van Allen?
Well, let's see. The one where they throw away the fat was one I wrote with Susan.
Can opener. The can opener.
That was it, yeah.
Fat collector.
Yes.
One. Yeah. Reel off a few more, Aaron, because those are the ones that popped in my head.
Honestly, I don't remember them. I don't remember this one, Favors, I had to look it up. 19 years ago this aired, and that's when it aired, and we were working on it,
Yeah, before then.
6 months before then.
Let me see now. That's so funny. So for people, when Ray did the thing, which recently got some press about how he watched every episode of Raymond, they didn't mention that he was talked about it on here.
Right.
So he joined me and he revealed all of his favorite episodes, which for those of you, I had a watch party. I will be cutting that into pieces and putting it up. It's just a matter of time. He was worried about offending all the writers. So we had a dinner and he goes, okay, guys, now listen, I don't want you to be offended by whatever. And he's reeling off all those episodes. And everyone's like...
We're like going to IMDb like, did I write that? Did you write that? I don't
yes. Should I be offended? Did I write that one? So Aaron's not being humble or coy. It's early onset writers not remembering.
Yes.
So,
yes.
By the way, since I do it, let's talk about probably Phil's favorite joke that you ever... life thing that you ever said.
Yes, it's about failing memory, which is one of my fears. And... So I came up with this plan, which is someday I'm assuming I'm going to be living alone, and I'll be living alone. And
Aaron is happily married, just FYI.
Yes, and got great kids. But in this scenario, I'm all alone, and because I don't want to languish in dementia, I'm going to make a cake and fill it full of poison and put that cake on my kitchen table. And every morning I'll wake up and go, oh, no, don't eat that. That's full of poison. But on my last day when I'm losing my memory, I get to have cake.
And sorry, not to pitch on your own joke,
Please.
but the way, because this is a very funny thing, because this is a big debate in the writers circle. So we all debate on Aaron's original telling of the joke, because we all think we can tell Aaron's joke better. It's his joke. Well, he said I would put it in the refrigerator, and every day I would open the refrigerator and I would go, oh no. Nope, that's poison. I'm not going to eat that cake. And then when I lose my memory, I'm going to open the refrigerator and go, hey, cake. That's how.
That's the better punchline.
Yeah. You're welcome, Aaron.
Thank you.
Punching up your joke.
This is a little window into how writing works. You come up with the germ of an idea, and then someone makes it better.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's one thing that this is a great lesson for Ray and Phil, who are very, very democratic, et cetera. And if you've written, and this is when I've written with people who haven't written, they don't know this, which is this: there are no bad ideas. So when you tell that joke to Ray, and he's like, he doesn't go, stop talking. What are you doing? He goes, or maybe this. And then you're like, okay, you just made it brilliant, and I will take all the credit when you're not in the room. But that's how writing works. And the people that have never written go, that's not funny. And you're like, not yet. You have to drill down on the core of the idea.
One of the things being what we've decided is I'm a not very good stand-up. We've decided here tonight. I have, but one of the things you notice when you're on stage, because we used to do stuff on stage as a writer's room, and when you're on stage with Ray in particular, one of the things I would notice is he would do a joke I knew of his, and there would often be a little follow-up, a scooper after the main joke, and I would always think, oh, Ray's forgotten his scooper, because he was so good. This is such an important talent for a stand-up. He's so good at making it feel like he's thinking of it right at the moment, and it's fresh. And so I have to remind myself, don't tell Ray his own scooper. He knows his scooper. Just watch him do it. You know?
Yeah. What that would happen is maybe there's 1,000 people watching him in Vegas. If Aaron Shure was there, he'd be like, Ray, you forgot, right when he's about to say it. Yes. And then Ray would look down and be like, I got it, Aaron. That's the scenario that Aaron's saying, because Ray just goes like, you know, and then also, and you're like, oh, yes, of course. It's called impeccable timing.
It's timing. And I that's one of the things I didn't have on stage, was a very good timing. I also I'd feel guilty that the audience would always laugh. Because for me, it's, it's the 100th time you told the joke. I'm like, I'm sorry that I have to manipulate you with this joke.
Well, I think because it's like a song, you work out the song and then you perform the song. And so an audience member doesn't go to a rock show and go, they did the same songs. they did Satisfaction, which yes, they wrote it in 1966, and people still like to hear it. So so with a comedian, it's the same thing. It's just that a comedian's skill set is making you feel like he just made it up on the spot. Yeah. All right, Aaron, let's catch up on some things. Let's see. We know why Aaron is on a writing team. That could be a
hey.
Yeah, that's an insult. Yeah. Hey, I know. Yeah. Yes. Let me see. Yes,
Pet the Bunny. Oh, they're telling me what I wrote.
Oh, Pet the Bunny. Annabelle. Thank you. Pet the Bunny, which I thought was based on Ray's original story, or you ran with that story. Am I making that up?
I'm trying to remember what Pet the Bunny was. What was that with the
Frank pets the bunny, right? We find out that Frank pets the bunny, and the guys from the lodge make up. Oh, this is where we need fans to help us out. That's why before Aaron joined, because Aaron I think has been my most frequent guest other than Phil. I'll tell Aaron what we're talking about so he can remember who was in the show.
Yes.
Okay, so let me keep going. Sweet Charity and Misery Loves Company.
Yeah.
Aaron, guilty of both of those. Does Aaron, Jamie Laws, does Aaron have a favorite episode of that he wrote?
Oh, gosh, probably 10th anniversary. I mean, it's part of what makes it my favorite episode is it's the most fun to say that I taped over a wedding video, and it's a great story because when I told it got me the job, and then people have seen the episode, learned that I taped over my wedding video with an episode of Raymond, because at the time I was not on the show and I was researching the show, and so that's it's a fun story. In terms of watching it though, I mean, Young Girl was a lot. It was a lot of fun to write Young Girl with Tom. We had a lot of fun. We really worked hard. We were hanging out at your place, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to talk about how we were listening to the radio signals. Do you remember that? We were goofing around.
Oh, I don't even remember this.
We had some sort of you always have gadgets, and you had some sort of
very much into electronics. Yeah.
radio receiver, and
Yeah.
we were listening to air traffic control.
Okay, yeah. As I say to people, anything to get out of writing, and
Right.
it sounds like a joke, but it's really, and it's funny because I was listening to Ken Levine's podcast. Ken Levine has a podcast about writing, which I think he just stopped doing it.
Such a great writer.
Yeah, he was talking about he was talking to somebody who had a famous author, and I don't know that it was Jersey because it was some famous, like, and he goes, wait a minute, what was he like? And he goes, there's no writer that I know that won't do anything to get out of writing.
Right.
So in the room. So when we sound lazy and when I talk about, whatever we would do. So with just going back to the, because I want to talk about Christmas because we're coming up on Christmas episodes. The Young Girl episode came about because it happened in real life to me. And Aaron was the most, I think, of the writers, even though Aaron was married with kids, the most the longest like single life of anybody. So he could relate the most for that episode, and I just got along with Aaron, and I thought, hey, Aaron, do you want to write this? Because we also wrote together the breakup tape, which was based on a real life thing that happened to Aaron. Mm-hmm. So my story relates
girl
to
broke up with me on my answering machine.
Yeah, that's how that became. I was gonna say you stepped on it, Aaron. But I was gonna say, yeah, my story is about dating a beautiful young girl. Your story is about somebody breaking up with you who doesn't even want to see you enough to break up with you on an answering machine. So yeah, the breakup tape. Also, okay, let's see. Hi, Mona. Let's see, Mona. Missed half of it. Gonna go back and listen to the whole thing. It's just as boring at the beginning as it is now. Okay. Okay, so yes, here we go. It's when Frank writes the eulogy and mentions when Ray saw him pet Hoppy when he was young, and Frank denies it for the longest time.
Oh, so that's the eulogy episode, right?
Pet the bunny.
Pet the bunny.
So here. So just so you know, then, we talked, for those who are just joining, Tom Caldabiano here, writer on Everyone's Raymond, Aaron Shure, writer on Everyone's Raymond, and I was asking Aaron, because what Aaron would do a lot of times in the writer's room is he'd talk about his real life, and we'd go, okay, that's crazy. And then Phil would go, great, let's make an episode about Aaron, who's not trying to pitch a show, but just relating this. So one of the things Aaron talked about was writing.
I would write my father's eulogy. I don't know why. I mean, I love.
And your father's still alive?
Still alive.
Yeah, okay.
93, doing great. But I just love my dad so much. But because of that, I would, in this weird, I can't explain why, but I would just imagine what I would say for the eulogy. So that was the genesis of the idea of Ray having to do the eulogy for Frank.
That's hysterical. And so then Raymond, in real life, what did they have? Did they have a bunny for one of his kids?
Yeah.
But he told this really endearing story about how he thought the bunny was lonely. And so Ray, TV star Ray, would go into his backyard, into the cage, and just sit there and pet the bunny. And it was such an endearing thing. So that's an interesting combination of two different stories. Two different real life stories that came together for Pet the Bunny. Okay, let me check in over at our friends at Instagram. Teresa, by the way, Teresa, didn't you live in Chicago for a while, Aaron, or am I making that up?
I lived in Chicago for a bit, in Wrigleyville.
And okay.
Did someone bring that up?
No, but Teresa, the Teresa restaurant is in Chicago, and I have to visit there, hopefully with Aaron. Does Aaron have a favorite episode he wrote? Okay, we saw that the one did came.
Breakup Tape was a lot of fun.
Breakup Tape was
the poem. I loved the poem in Breakup Tape.
Oh yeah, the poem. Because we both wrote the thing. Your line was the cartilage. I think mine was in the middle, but yours was the cartilage, which killed. And it's funny, Aaron. One of the things we talk about, you have favorite lines, and I can't remember. I remember a couple of my favorite lines that I wrote, but it was so off-putting. You would never go, I wrote that line that show, because someone else would have 10 lines in your episode.
Yes.
And you can't, so you couldn't be like, yeah, there's not one episode that didn't have great lines from other people.
Right.
And so I remember that cartilage line was just brilliant. And then for Scro's episode, and again, for people that are watching, when you write an episode, it's like, oh man, 40 pages. Okay, from beginning to end, every single dialogue, because a lot of common question when you don't know how writing is done, they go, well, do you write all the characters' lines? It's like, yes, I am a married woman. I am a 70-year-old grandmother. I am an angry, 70-year-old man. I'm like, you're in the head of all the characters. That's what you do when you write. And so when you have a 40-page script, you're like, oh, it's so much. And then you would hand it to the writers and they get to read it. And the luxury of reading it is there's no pressure. Anything that's funny pops in your head. So very often, and for Scro as a guest, and for All I Want for Christmas, I go, Scro, I wrote a line in that. I remember because Scro is hysterical. I remember, like everybody had funny lines in my scripts, right? But I remember I wrote, and he goes, oh, did you write, you've activated a launch sequence? I go, no, that was Lou Schneider. And so, that's it was said. And I said, no, I wrote, we usually hang ours on the door, right? Because he has the wreath. He puts the wreath in front. Ray puts the wreath in front of him. And Scro goes, oh yeah, I don't remember that. He goes, so two of the best lines in that episode I didn't write, but that's on the other. But I don't remember, like you can't remember the episode. So remembering lines when people are like, who came up with that line? And we're going back to the beginning where I'm like, oh, when I watch Favors, I go, man, season 9, it's hitting on every cylinder. Every character joke is landing. You wish you could do. It just felt effortless when you're watching it. You're like, why did you have to stop doing the show, right? It's just clicking on.
Well, you do your first draft, you bring it to the room, and then the room does two painful things to it. One is they rewrite it, and two, they make it better.
Yes.
I've never been rewritten where it became worse in my whole career. So I must have been in the right rooms, I guess.
Yeah. That's okay. I noticed as well why they never saw Robert and Erica kiss. Let me go back. I got to try and catch up what that means. Karen, 1982, loved that her name was Karen before my name became an insult. Yes, sorry, Karen. We don't have control over that.
No.
Young Girl was yet another great episode. The actress was great. I understand that in real life she was actually 16 playing a 19-year-old. Yeah, that recently came out that she was like 16. I don't remember knowing that, right? Did you? Yeah. And it's funny because it's acting. And so for people who are I'm not saying this person writing that. I see now that makes sense. That's why the actress didn't kiss. But I don't think that was the case. I think it was going to be, even if she was 22 playing a 19-year-old, you just didn't want to see Robert kissing the young girl. It was just off-putting. So, and in real life, the girl, the sneeze as well. Yeah. In real life, the girl that it was based on had just turned 19, because I remember she said, I'm 19 or something, because I met her mother. I don't want to tell the whole story again, but I met her backstage at a comedy club, and her mother was friends with Gary Shandling, and her daughter was just sitting next to me, and I wasn't talking to Gary Shandling, and Kevin Nealon was there also. And so I'm just talking to her, and I gave my card to her mother. And I said, if you guys ever want to come up to a filming. So then she said, oh, I'd like to come up. I go, great. So 2 tickets. She goes, no, just me. And then she goes, it's actually going to be on my birthday, 19. And I go, oh, you're 19. I go, you're going to be 20. That's awesome. She goes, no, I will be. I was like, okay. It was such an interesting thing. From the outside, none of the writers bought it.
Especially the wives of the.
Yeah. We can tell that story when we're not running time. Okay. Yes. So that is a good comment. But even if she was 25 in real life, you didn't want to see that on the show. That would have been gratuitous. Versus the girl that eats the fly, that kiss is essential because Robert has to go, am I tasting any fly? Which is not a good thought. Okay, I want to talk about Christmas real quickly, Aaron, before we say goodbye to everybody. For you, because you are not someone who celebrates Christmas.
Right.
Not because you're against Christmas.
No,
but
Jewish.
Yes. And so what was that like, being in the room and writing? Because obviously you have a weird, sorry, I'm editing myself. You grew up in a very, very interesting childhood.
Yes. Do we go into this? Do you want to hear about my hippie parents?
Might as well, Aaron.
Well, my parents divorced when I was 2, and my mom ran off to Costa Rica to grow pot, among other things. It was called pot in those days in the jungles of Costa Rica.
You can still call it pot. It's
Is
just
it
not
still
as
called-
yeah,
yeah.
You just feel like an old guy who wrote on Everest Raymond.
So I traveled back and forth between my psychiatrist dad and my weed growing mom, and so I was back and forth. But I'm Jewish, and so. But I'm also an American and familiar enough with Christmas. Yeah. It's funny when there's like a Hallmark rom-com about a Jew for Christmas, and he's like, "What? Does he comes and he eats cookies and drink?" Well, I don't. It's like, of course he would know. He's been around, but
Yeah.
What was your question about?
Well, I just thought, this here. I will frame it in an even bigger way. I was in, I don't know when, 2017, 18. I was in Jerusalem, okay, and I was there and traveling with a cruise line, but I was with someone who's Buddhist. And so they knew nothing.
Zero.
So they're like going, so wait, the guy, he had to walk with a cross. Like, tell me did he walk with a cross? So I'm just surrounded by it, right? And they had no idea of any backstory. And so I know that if you're Jewish and you're not celebrating Christmas, it's like the stuff that we take for granted. Like, of course you know this. It's like, well, and I've heard forever about just being jealous of Christmas because it's such a giant event.
Oh, it is. And the amount of gifts, like on Hanukkah, you get a gift a night, but they're not that many gifts. I mean, it depends on every family's a little bit different. But I had my first Christmas with a girlfriend in high school. I got them just a few little gifts, and I was just buried with gifts and big expensive things. I felt terrible. I didn't realize,
What did you
take
get?
out a second
What did you
mortgage.
get them?
I got her mom a cedar blocks that you put in the sock drawer, and I got oh my gosh, this could have been an episode. I'm surprised we didn't do an episode. I got my girlfriend a ping pong paddle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Let's call her an ex-girlfriend.
An ex-girl, yes.
Okay. What were you thinking, Aaron, there?
Oh, I didn't know. There is a cultural difference. I didn't know you get a ton of.
Right, but bad taste runs all cultures. So
yes.
bad girlfriend gifts. Was she like, Aaron, I want a ping pong paddle more than life itself?
No, she was not very happy with that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't make it to New Year's.
Oh, so then when you're on Raymond, because Phil talked about that, this is the first episode of the first Christmas episode on Raymond, he was saying, I don't want to get angry letters of "Dear Jewish man,
Right.
Thank you for saying to America that there is no Santa Claus."
Yes.
So that was that episode, which was so endearing to see Robert and Frank just shaming Ray and being like, "What are you doing? Under no cost can you do this?" Sorry, I'm checking all our sources here, Aaron, to make sure they don't miss. So, for you then, you didn't write a Christmas episode. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying for you, it's like you easily because I thought Season's Greetings was based on your eulogy thing, but it turned out to be Pet the Bunny. I think it was a Tucker Cawley thing about Season's Greetings. So
Yes.
Let me just see. Yes, Aaron, thank you for making me laugh. The Jews and Italians are very similar. Wasn't Doris Jewish in real life?
Yes.
I'm Jewish as well, which is probably why I married an Italian. Okay, so Karen, you're Italian through marriage. Okay, so Bob is Italian. That would make sense since your last name. Hanukkah, okay, a Hanukkah bush, nice. Let me see this. Dang, the dog. Okay, and then it goes. Okay, thank you, Aaron. You're who? Okay,
Aw.
okay. That's very nice. A compliment. So did I kiss her? Wow. Oh, okay.
Good question, Tom.
Did I kiss? Well, we are out of time. Look at that. Let me see this. I did not date her. I will say this because she was
The
very
age
young.
gap. There was a big age gap.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. Hold on one second. Let me just get my lawyer's number here. There you go. No. For that story, it's too much time to get into, but the beauty of the comedy of it is she was just coming up to an episode. But she was so attractive, and she was dressed in all black, and so she made an impression. So the director, who never said anything at a table read, said, "Wow, did you see the girl that Tom had last night, or had brought, or was with Tom," or whatever his phrasing was. And I was shocked because no one ever talks at a table read. You're just sitting there, you got your coffee, you're going, "How's it going, Aaron?" "Good, good, good. Last night, okay, whatever." "Wow, did you see it?" I was like, "Oh, wow, that's interesting." And then Phil said his very funny line, which was, yes, he was looking at his watch on one hand and holding her birth certificate in the other. And so, hardy ho ho, very funny. So, okay, so let me hide that. Okay, let me do final things, Aaron. Did Aaron write the Maurice statue episode? No, that was Jennifer Crittenden. That was based on real life. Jennifer Crittenden's mother took an abstract art class, and then she told Phil about it, and Phil said, "Oh, let's pattern it after the one in Rockland County in front of the courthouse," which everybody knows. So Phil tells us a very funny story about calling his parents and going, "Take a picture of the sculpture." We deliberately on the show didn't say the word, but he said to his mother, and Max and Helen, for those who watch Phil on Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix, you will know Max and Helen. So it's like, what sculpture? The vagina sculpture. You know, his his father's yelling at the vagina. You know, Max. You know the old. Yeah. So there you go. So yes. But that's, by the way, when I did stand up recently. And I always do this because I probably wrote 20. You lose track of the episodes, but a lot, and funny ones. But whenever I did stand-up, and this was just recently, I had to open for Ray at a casino, I know that the ones that you remember are the sculpture, the car through the wall, so they don't go, "Oh, the breakup tape was a very, thing," and I think Ray won an Emmy for that. But you remember the big swings, right? So when I'm talking to the audience, I go, "I wrote many episodes," and I go, "Name your favorite episodes," and then it's never one that I wrote. You know what I mean? So that, and I always go, "That's a great episode. I didn't write it." And that's good. I didn't write it. And so then I go through that. Yeah. All right. Any final things for Aaron? Because Aaron will be back. He is our most.
Whenever Tom wants to try out some new equipment, I come in to help him.
Oh, Maxine, you're near New City. New City, New York is where Phil grew up.
Wow.
Rockland County, Courthouse. We pass the sculpture every week and crack up. That's great. Share a picture of it. If you can. Who wrote Boob Job? Hi, Denise. So Boob Job gets a mixed rating from people. I see a lot of people that don't like Boob Job. Boob Job was based on a real life thing that happened to Lou Schneider, where he and his wife were at a party, and his wife said, "Oh, whatever her name was, showed me her boob job," and Lou was like, "What do you mean? Showed me your what?" "Yeah, she showed me her boob," and he was like, "Where was I?" Because I was watching the lame game. You can always call me. I'm open to anything. And then that night, after time had passed, they're in bed together, and Lou's wife said to Lou, "Do you think I should get a boob job?" And instead of what is the fast twitch muscles they are. We have slow twitch and fast twitch muscles. That's where you want your fast twitch muscles to kick in for Lou Schneider as it's leaving her. Said, "Do you think he should be like, oh, you kidding me? Under no circumstances should you ever." But he paused for a second, and he was in hot water for that. So that became the genesis of the boob job episode. So, okay, let's see. These are great. Last. Boob job is so funny. I love when Frank shakes his hand, implying the story. It was hot. Oh, that's great. Annabelle, on your bucket list to take a drive and see in person, not far from Manhattan, Annabelle. And if you're in Connecticut, it's not far. Okay, people want. Now, Aaron, you're a great guest.
Susan.
Yes. And don't forget, she has related to some low-level mobsters. So that was
really.
that.
Thank you, Susan.
Excellent cover. Okay, back to Instagram now. For those of you, I'm looking on a computer. For those of you that are watching, that's okay. That's her. Yes. Shalom, Aaron.
Shalom.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. Tefano's. Yes. Sorry. So Tefano's is the restaurant. Yes, I know that, Teresa. So Aaron, Tefano's is the restaurant. Tell them it's by UC. Is that UC?
UIC.
UIC in the Taylor Street area.
Okay.
Do you know that, Aaron, or no?
That's in Chicago?
Yes, that's Tefano's is the restaurant.
When I was there, I was so broke I didn't really go to restaurants. I just gigged, and yeah, I had a job as a giant dancing puppet. It was a performing gig where if you have any sort of dancing skills, it was like when frat boys draw eyes on their nipples and a mouth on their belly
Unfortunately, I
button.
do. Yes.
Yes, it was
For football games and stuff, for
yeah,
sporting events.
It was a version of that, but it was a puppet. So I was having to hide in a suit and you operate the mouth with my hand, and the arms would come out of my hips, and then you had to wear the belt went around your knees, and you had to dance at weddings. And anyways, that was my job. So I wasn't going to restaurants. I worked
Aaron,
so
I'm
hard
like-
for that money, I couldn't spend it on fancy food.
The next time you see Phil Rosenthal, you should hug him so hard and
He
not let
changed-
go.
he changed my
and,
life.
And not let go. And be like, oh my gosh, I was in a walk-around giant puppet.
Failing stand-up dancing
Yes.
puppet.
And also dressed as a Boy Scout at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yes, I was working at Camp Snoopy and Knott's Berry Farm with. I was a Boy Scout leader, and one person was my troop. It was me and one guy, and we just walked around.
And you had a marshmallow
He's
on the
also
end of the
very
stick.
successful. Yeah, Matt Young, very successful writer now too.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
So, yeah. And that was in your 30s.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is hope, everybody out there, because Ray Romano lived at home until he was 29. And he says that on stage, and everyone laughs. Because I lived with my mother until I was 29. Everyone laughs. And then he goes, I have my own TV show as the capper. So, what ends well. Okay, Aaron, we really have to say goodbye now because let me see. Oh my God, Aaron, so funny. When you come back, bring a photo of the lion mane. Yes.
My hair. Yes. Okay. I have photos.
Okay. Hi, Donnell. Donnell is in Austin, Texas, one of our biggest fans. Also, if I need information about Eros Raymond, I ask her. Okay.
really?
So yeah, she can identify episodes based on the arrangement of the toys on the couch.
I do. This is interesting. I prefer to watch not comedy because if you're watching comedy, you often go like, why didn't I get hired for that gig? And and it's either better than you could have done or not as good as you could have done. Either experience is not as enjoyable. I even get nervous at movies sometimes when I feel like I have to write the third act. You ever get this? Especially if it's a movie based on real life. I'm like, what are we going to do for the third act?
Oh, yeah.
And they did it already. I can just sit here and watch.
You're like a military veteran watching a battle scene.
Yeah.
Right? You're too much into it. So are there any sitcoms there's not really many sitcoms
No,
anymore.
I'm really enjoying English Teacher right now. I don't know if you've seen that. It's
I have
a really
not.
funny show. Yeah.
I did see Conclave.
Oh yes,
at Phil's.
hilarious.
An intense movie. Such an intense movie. Okay. Love Ray. Thank you, Aaron and Tom. Yes, have a great. Okay. Yes, Karen Edwards. Thank you for staying up late. We ran out of time to try snacks. You remember when we tried? Were you there when we tried cookies in the writers' room?
Yep.
Okay. The cookie test with Jeremy Stevens, inspiring that, and I'm trying to taste a delicious treat. Every day, every time we have a show, and I need to rate. I need to come up with a rating system. I need everybody to vote on what the rating system should be. The rating number. Let's go from 0 to 10, and I take it out of the canister, and then I taste it, and I need to know: is it going to be? I want to pay tribute to Marie or something. So does it get 10 canisters? Does that make
I
sense?
see.
Does it get we'll figure it out. I'll brainstorm with all of our cast. I do have my tea from tonight. Hold on. I'm going to lean. Don't go away, Aaron. Don't touch anything. It's
Trying
right.
to think what it could be. It could be. Oh, you do have something.
Well, no, that's a tea. This is a tea which I had never heard of. Sorry, I'm off mic. This is a tea which have you ever heard of that brand? I'm holding it up. Taifu. It seems like a cartoon, right? Mm-hmm. Taifu. So that's a Taifu Gold. That's a British branded tea. But I'll give you some if you want, Aaron.
Sure.
All right. Everybody, thank you so much. We'll talk more Christmas episodes all this week. I'm going to be posting a ton of Christmas episode photos and videos. And for the Raymond Watch Party, all of this stuff, I just need time to edit and so I can post and we can be reliving all of the exciting visits like this one with Aaron Shure. So, okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
Hong Kong Taifui.
Yes. Oh, yes. There we go. Ray was good. Weird hearing him swear, though, Denise. Yes. So Ray has a new show called No Good Deed, and it's with Lisa Kudrow. It's not a comedy, so if you're looking for Ray Romano from Everest Raymond, do not watch it. If you're faint of heart, do not watch it. If you don't like dramas, do not watch it. If you like it, watch it.
Great
Apparently,
show.
yeah,
It's a good show.
Yeah, and Raymond is very good and everything. All right, see you next week, everybody. Have a good week, and keep your comments coming because I love reading them and answering them. All right, thank you so much, Aaron. Promise on camera, Aaron, that you're willing to come back.
Absolutely, Tom.
Okay.
Anytime.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Tom.
Da 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 da.